Welcome back to the Ride Laugh podcast. If you love mountain biking, you're in the right place. Picture your last really fun group ride. You're back at the parking lot. The Stoke is high. You're talking about the ride, trails, tech, nutrition, progression. That's what we talk about here every week on the Ride Laugh podcast. You love bikes. We love bikes. Let's drop in. Sage, how are you today?
Oh, man, Danny, I had a week. Let me tell you, we had jump progression, e-bike revelations. It's been amazing. Buddy, how are you doing?
That sounds awesome. I am doing well as well. It's been a really, really fun week. I can't wait to get into it today. I wanted to get your opinion on, we never really talked about it in detail. You talked about getting the new Stumpjumper.
Yeah.
And how much you're enjoying it, and how like instantly your first impressions were, it's great on jumps. It made me feel really comfortable at Skyline.
Yeah.
And then you hadn't really ridden it on tech. And I feel like some of your first like really kind of intense tech rides were here in the Southwest in the desert. And we rode tech.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to get your opinion on, now that you've had more rides on your Stumpjumper, how are you feeling about it riding tech? And then I have a follow-up question for you as well.
I think what a great question, Danny. And, you know, I think one of the big reasons I struggled with the demo of the Stumpy was the demo was too big for me. It was an S3. And I think that was causing a lot of discomfort on the tech for me. As soon as I got down to the bike that I bought, which is an S2, that helped a lot. The only issue that I really struggle with at this point is that bottom bracket being so low. And I think that's, and the more I talk to people, that's like a reoccurring theme with that bike. Like it's really stable on the downhills, but to get it that stable, you know, they're lowering everything. So you really feel like you're in the cockpit of the bike. Like you are planted. This thing is just so grounded. But when you're trying to like maneuver the bike in like really tight tech, slow speed tech, you do have to be aware of that bottom bracket. And it's taken me a while to get used to, but I think I'm there. Like, I don't remember banging my bottom bracket when I was in Arizona, right? I think I did a pretty good job.
I was going to follow up with two questions. Is one, are you banging the bottom bracket or getting pedal strikes? Because that's the other thing. When the bike's a little bit lower, you get more pedal strikes. We do a lot of lifts here in Arizona. So like a lot of the tech is like you're purposely trying to get up something. And so that bottom bracket height, I'm not sure how much that comes into play. Yeah. And then B, does it have a flip chip? And if it does, what setting are you in? Are you in a high or low setting? Have you played with that?
Okay. There was like 4 questions in there. So I'll start with the last one that you just asked.
Start with A and then finish with J addendum C.344. I think that's the one everyone's been waiting for. I can't wait till he gets to J. This is going to be good.
Oh boy.
Honey, I'm going to need my big notebook. Get me the big notebook.
I got it right here. I should have been writing it down. So the bottom bracket height and the chainstay length, I have that set to the short chainstay length and the bottom bracket is set to high.
Okay. So you have it as high as it will go. You're not using.
Right.
Okay.
That's right. And then the front angle.
And even there.
Go ahead.
Even there, it feels lower than your Ibis.
Oh, it's definitely lower. Like it's not a feel. It's definitely lower. Yeah. By a good bit.
Okay.
And then the front, which would also affect the height of the bottom bracket, that is set at 65, which is like right in the middle. And I think that's the happy medium. You asked if I was getting pedal strikes and gosh, yes, I am definitely getting pedal strikes. But again, as I get used to where that's happening, I'm learning to adjust, and it's something that I'm not even noticing at this point. So, but it took a really long time for me to get used to it. Yeah. I don't know. You don't have any of those problems with the pivot, right?
I do. I mean, the bottom, I should probably get a new bash guard for the bottom, you know, not the bash guard, that's for the chain, but like the frame guard that goes on the bottom. I mean, I've, because we're doing the lifts here all the time on these rocky ledges, I've slammed that bottom of the frame into rock so many times. And then if you don't get the lift, if you get it, it's smooth, it's clean, you know what I mean? But if you don't get it, you're like slamming into rock and then oftentimes like sliding off of it.
Yeah.
So we've been practicing climbing the waterfall recently. And, you know, if you don't get that lift any of those lifts, then you slam the bottom of the frame into the rock and then you slide off of it. It just makes the most horrendous sound.
Yeah.
And so that plastic piece for me is like, getting kind of ripped up. Now my pivot is in the low position. So I could go in the high position. And when I demoed it, it was in the high position and I fell in love with it because it covered.
Yeah.
It covered so much, the text so nicely. So I should probably try it in the high position in the back. Listeners, let us know how much are you messing around with the flip chip? How much of a difference does it make? I feel like there's riders like us that just set it and then like, that's it. I'm comfortable here. I'm not changing it.
Yeah.
But does changing it make that much of a difference?
I would also...
Should we be doing that?
Yeah. I also have a question for our listeners. And that is the one thing that I have noticed that I have not been able to improve are my lifts. And there are some big differences between the Ibis and I never had problems with the lifts on the Ibis, but suddenly on the Stumpy I am. And one of the big changes is the bars are much wider on the Stumpy. And that's a pretty easy fix. I could cut them down to match the Ibis. But would that affect lift? Like, because my arms are out wider, does that make it harder for me to lift the bike? I mean, talking physics, that seems to make sense. The other thing is my stem is shorter on the Ibis. So, and that's another it's not easy because it's expensive, but I could get a shorter stem. I think that would also help me with my lifts. And lastly, the 29-inch wheel is much bigger to get over stuff. And, I didn't have to deal with that on the Ibis. I think those three things, and I guess I don't know if anybody else has this experience, when they jump from a 27.5 to a 29, did they find that doing lifts became more difficult? I can't explain it. Like, I used to be pretty good at it. Yike.
If you're doing a lift, if your lift technique is using your chest to pull up with the bike, then you're doing it wrong. Like for me, I'm rolling into it and then I'm doing like a wheelie, like going into like a wheelie. Like that's that motion. I'm like, yeah, I'm preloading the front and then it's all in one motion. And then like putting down a power pedal, might even be smoothing, be relatively smooth. I don't need that power pedal. So it should be like it should be a weight distribution thing more than a power thing. I think just like when you're doing a J-hop, right? It's weight distribution. You're not actually yanking the bike up. You are preloading and then changing where your weight is. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And, I guess I'll have to run some experiments. I might have been just doing really bad technique this whole time. And you're right. Maybe I just need to perfect my technique.
It's really not fair to you because you were out here for 3.5 weeks. And in that time, we rode South Mountain, a handful of times. And Halls doesn't really have the lifts. It's really South Mountain primarily, I think, now that I'm thinking about it. I ride there all the time.
Yeah.
So I've been practicing that stuff. I always, and for our listeners that aren't in the Southwest or aren't in a place where there's these natural ledges to be hopping up onto all over the place.
Yeah.
I think the technique is very, very much like a log over. If you're good at doing log overs, you're going to be good at doing lifts. And I don't know how much log over practice have you had recently? Because I've seen some videos where you're doing log overs and you basically float over that thing.
Yeah,
over some pretty big logs.
I know.
If you use that same technique, like I feel like you would be really good at doing these lifts.
I feel like I do use the same technique. It's just the end. The end is different. So the pop up for me is still the same. It's just I finish differently when I'm on a step up. When I'm on the step up, then I actually thrust forward with my whole body. That's the only difference that I utilize. Yeah, it's just something I'm going to have to get the phone out and just record myself and figure out what's going on. Because
you want to finish on the log. You want to finish on the log the same way you finish on everything else.
That sounds really
you're talking about thrusting and finishing. You're talking about thrusting and finishing on logs. I was just curious what's going on here. My thrust isn't hard enough with the log, but when I move away from logs, the thrust gets much smoother. I think you're an anti-log guy. Maybe you're pro-log.
I'm pro-log.
I'm confused. This bit's confusing me. I just heard too many thrusting and log words to not make a joke. And
yes.
It had to happen. The listeners would have like, I would have gotten comments. The people would have been like,
Yeah.
you just want to let him say thrust and log 4 times and not say something? I thought this was ride and laugh. What is this conversation? What's happening right now?
Oh man, you got me. You got me. No, it's just something that I need to work on, and I appreciate you calling me out, or I called myself out, but you doubled down on it, and I appreciate that.
So overall, Stumpjumper on tech, thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm everything about that bike. I have absolutely enjoyed. You know, it really has improved my riding. That's for sure. I mean, you're going from like a really old Geo Ibis to the Stumpy, and I imagine I would feel this way about any bike, but I don't know any other bikes. All I know is the Stumpy, and this bike has definitely matched what I like to ride. You know, and that was a big concern for me, because this is at least like 2 or 3 inches longer than my Ibis, and I was like, oh man, when I get into that tight stuff, no joke, that's a great example. That is a really tight turn to make, at the top of that thing. I can make it up, all that stuff. And yeah, no issue. It's been an absolute delight. So yeah, thank you, Keswick. Thank you, Sean. They were all saying I would enjoy it, and they were right. I did enjoy it.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's a great all around it. It's a trail bike. It can handle the tech. It can handle the fast speed. It jumps really well. And,
downhill parks.
I think going down a size and being able to get that mullet wheel so that you have a little bit more room in the tech. You were absolutely slaying the slow speed tech out here in Arizona. Slaying. Just riding so in control, so balanced. Like, you looked awesome. And that bike looks awesome. It fits you. I'm really excited. It's interesting seeing how it all came together. Anyone that's been listening to the podcast long enough knows, like, for a long time you were riding the Ibis and you had this older bike and you were just like okay with it. And then it broke. And you went through this long phase of waiting for it to be fixed and riding single speed exclusively. Oof. And then you found appreciation in that. How much stronger you got, and how much better you got by having to ride that incredibly difficult bike through tech. We spent like almost a whole summer of you on the single speed and Stick and I on full suspension bikes, and you were still slaying it and just amazing on that old Geo bike.
Yeah.
And then here you are, like, the new bike, the opportunity comes. And you get the demo, and you end up getting this great new bike, and there you are. You're on the perfect bike for you. So it's awesome. Everything works out. Sometimes it's not in the timing that we expect or that we want, but just staying positive, staying in the flow. Yeah. And then that you look back and you're like, that all did work out. So we don't need to worry. We don't need to strive as much. We don't need to reach for as much. Just be. Yeah. It's a hard thing to tell your brain. That's where I am right now. I'm just kind of constantly just telling my brain, just like, chill, dude, chill. Yeah. Chill out with these thoughts.
Yep. I'm with you, brother.
I think most people can relate to that. Yeah. So we are talking about the comments from how to increase the vibe, fun, progression, and Stoke on every group ride, episode 4 of season 2. Super fun episode. And lots of great comments as always. Just able to pull a few, but great listener and commenter Jeff Jackson MTB. One thing that helps is when riders in a group recognize speed disparities and let faster riders go ahead of the slower riders, even when the disparity might be minimal. Good groups recognize this quickly and shuffle themselves into the best order for maximum Stoke for everyone in the group. That's a damn good group.
Yeah.
No, he's riding with some good people. I know he is. I know that a lot of the guys he rides with. They're good people, and they're good riders, and they're experienced riders. Do you feel like that always happens? You've been riding with a lot of new groups because you've been going to Mount Penn and just like riding with people that you meet up there sometimes.
I would say,
how does that work?
I would say, Danny, at least 80% of the time that naturally happens. And I'm so glad that Jeff brought that up, because that is the mark of good riders, is to know thyself and quickly make an analysis of who you are surrounded by. And then you kind of slot yourself in. We have had some occasions where people don't know how to slot themselves in correctly, and then you get stuck behind someone on a down or a climb, and it's like, oh boy.
Excuse me. I don't mean to be rude, but you've slotted yourself incorrectly. You're actually supposed to slot yourself behind me. I don't know how many times I got to buzz your tire before you change your slot here.
That's so true.
Maybe we can hand out index cards, 1 through 6. All right, we got 6-person ride. Everyone gets the 1 through 6.
Yeah.
And then maybe halfway through the ride, you go, you got number 4 and you go over to number 3 and you're like, I think I got your card. I don't know how to say this, but I think maybe we should, we all change numbers. And,
well, you also get 2 different cards. There's the climbing card and then downhill card. So you might be slotted up higher on the climbing card, but then on the downhill, you have to reslot.
I like this. Oh, I think we should get Velcro on the card and then Velcro on everybody's jersey. Yes. Yeah. And if someone rips your card off and puts their card on, it's on. You better be faster than me now.
That's right.
Oh, you're faster than me on the climbs? Okay. Let's see. Yeah. And then you beat them up the climb, and then you're ripping their card off.
Yeah.
Oh, right, we got something here.
Oh man, have you
talk about making mountain biking less fun?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
How do we take this incredibly fun and awesome vibe sport and make it competitive and annoying?
Yeah, right.
Let's pit everyone against each other. Yeah.
Have you done this move where we are climbing so well, but we know we're not as good as the downhiller, so you'll get a head start on the you get to the top of the climb and you just start descending, so you have that head start, and then they'll catch up. So that's a way that you can avoid the slotting issue.
Something that happens to me, I feel often, and listeners, let me know if you can relate to this, but I'm bigger and heavier than most of the people I ride with. So if I'm in front of you on a downhill, and I know that you're going to catch up to me in the corners, or Jeff Winsor going to catch up to me in the corners, or as soon as it gets technical, I'm going to start hitting the brakes too much. If there's a straightaway, I'm like, okay, no brakes. I got to get as far ahead as possible because I know that they're going to catch up to me as soon as this thing starts turning.
Yeah.
So, my card. Yeah. Protect the card.
Protect the card. Yeah.
What do you do? Card idea aside, what do you do when you're on a ride and especially on the downhills or on the uphills, it could be frustrating as well. When that person doesn't seem to get it and they keep jumping in front of you. Do you just let that go, or what do you think?
No, I don't. I don't do the buzz the tire. I mean, that happens, but not because I'm trying to get in front of you. That just happens naturally.
Not on purpose.
Yeah, I'm very open about where I need to be. And sometimes it's not an excuse because it's real. I don't use the granny, and I need to keep that cadence up, and I'll just simply say, hey, do you mind if I pop in front of you? Because I can't spin that slow. And most people are pretty kind about letting me pop in front, and I haven't run into one person that's been like, no, you're not going to pop in front of me. It's a legitimate excuse. I climb at a different pace than most people. And it's worked out. The downhill, I'm very, here's this word again, compassionate. And if I feel like I'm holding up somebody, ultra compassionate, I will literally pull over, or I'll say, hey, am I holding you up? Or as soon as we get to the bottom, hey, do you want to jump in front? I'm very cognizant of that stuff. And I hope that people will speak up, and most people are like, oh yeah, you're fine. Or yeah, do you mind if I pop in front? So I think those are do you handle it any differently, or?
I mean, it's a sticky situation, you know what I mean? Because it's only an issue if the person isn't tuned into the situation. So
right.
Nobody really, you know what I mean? If I'm behind someone and I'm clearly able to pass them, I would say 90% of the riders are going to say, do you want to go ahead or pull aside or after on the next climb, be like, go ahead. You could feel the person behind you. Same thing on the downhill. Yeah. There occasionally is that, that rider that just doesn't seem to notice that, or maybe they're inexperienced. I mean, listener, I'm sure you can relate where you're you do a ride and you got a couple of friends and there's a couple of new people, and then you get back to the car and you're driving back and you say to your friends, I kept getting stuck behind blank.
Blank.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that happened, and so, at the end, it's still all just about having fun. And if that happens, it happens. I think that there's tactful ways to say something. We did come from single speeding where if we rode with people with gears, we had to say something. because you're cranking, you have to keep that momentum. So you just, you know, you'd be like, hey, I got single speed. Like, let me jump ahead.
I think,
there's just go ahead.
I was going to say, you are, at least Dan 1.0 was much too down on yourself. Like you would often let people in front of you, especially on the downhills.
Yeah.
Not on the climbs, because you were always strong
about that.
I did, because I would naturally slap myself. I don't think I'm a fast downhiller, but I think that I'm above average. And so, and because I'm usually wearing a GoPro, I naturally just slap myself way up to the front, and I'll deal with it later. Like if I'm holding you up, then I will slap back but for the initial run, I'm going to try and get as far forward as I possibly can. And you were the exact opposite. You're like, no, I'm going to go all the way to the back. And now you're really stuck. And gosh, I don't know if you still do that, but like, you should know you are a way better downhiller. You know, you are.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm day to day on how fast I am as far as how I'm riding and how I'm feeling and what the trail is. And some trails I feel faster, and I would almost rather be humble and hit the brakes than be overly confident. And I don't want to ruin someone else's ride. And this is probably me more 1.0. I was so concerned about, I hated the feeling of the person breathing down my neck so much.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just go behind you just in case. And like you said, 80% of the time, 70% of the time, you know, riding with the group of riders that we were with at the time, that would mean that I'm not able to fully enjoy the downhill. It did backfire.
I just realized one of the reasons why I also like to slap myself farther to the front. I like to pick different lines. And if there's a lot of people in front of me, it gets harder to kind of see alternate lines. And also, like, sometimes, like, and not to throw you under the bus, but sometimes you used to at least not pick very good lines. Now your line choices are much better. But back in the day, like, you picked the worst lines. And if you were in front of me, I had to be
my front tire.
I would be very cognizant of that. So that's another reason why I try and slap myself in the front. I don't know. But your line choices now are, I couldn't even hold your wheel when we were in Arizona. That was unbelievable. You have, wow.
Getting the eyes up. It's so cliche, you know, getting your eyes up, and it's still something that I often forget to do. And when I do it, getting in that body position, staying centered on the bike, and then getting your eyes up, giving your brain a little bit, your eyes and your brain a little bit more time to focus and to comprehend what's happening. It just changes everything. And really in the Southwest, especially like at South Mountain, you have to have your eyes up at speed. And these guys I'm riding with are going so fast that they know these lines. You just have to keep your eyes up, or you could just full speed run into a rock. I mean, there's just huge obstacles everywhere, you know? So,
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next comment, because there's the second part of this comment I think might dovetail into the first comment.
Okay.
And that was a good friend, Shelly, and leader of the fire team. And Shelly said, group rides are my favorite. If you're planning ahead or inviting new people, it helps to set some expectations, pace, miles, terrain, etc. And I thought that was an excellent point. You know, whoever's leading the ride wants to say, this is what we're expecting. And we would often do that to make sure, like, okay, so-and-so asked me about a ride, and I know that they're an awesome downhiller, but they're not much of a climber. And we're planning on doing 3,000 feet of climbing and working a session tech climbing and that sort of thing. So, hey, this is what the ride's going to look like. Are you in? You know, and ball's in your court.
Yeah, I mean, talk about another awkward conversation, right? It's like, who do you where you're riding and what you plan on doing often dictates the people that you would invite on a group ride. Like, oh, I would invite so-and-so, but, you know, they're not much of a climber. Or I would invite so-and-so, but, you know, they don't have a bike that could handle the downhills, or they're not into a bike park, or I don't know. And so, you know, what you're planning on doing often dictates on who you invite. Now, in terms of what Shelly is saying, I mean, fantastic. Like, let's give everybody what the mileage is, what the elevation is probably going to be, but then also, what are the trails? Are we riding black trails, blue trails? Are they flow? Are they tech? What kind of tech? Is it slabs? Is it drops? Like, some people will feel really comfortable on a black trail as long as it's jumps, but you get them on a black tech trail, you know, that has steep slabs. or big drops, like totally different game. So let's be upfront about it. When you're planning a group ride, this is what we're planning on doing. Hey, there's going to be some big drops. Hey, are there ride arounds? All these things. Yeah. Shelly, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, totally nailed that. And as I would expect, being a team leader like she is, and someone who organizes a lot of group rides, and it's a fun person to ride with. She's awesome to ride with.
Yeah.
She also mentioned pace. And I've seen so many times, you know what I mean? Like someone that can do a climb, but they expect to stop at the top of the climb.
Yeah.
When we do national trail out here, there's several what they call saddles, but there's several kind of stopping points.
Yeah.
And you can ride and just blow through all those, or you can ride and stop at each one. I don't need to stop. If the group wants to stop, then, or if someone's tired, even one of the strong riders is having a day, but what's the pace going to be? Like, we're not planning on stopping. We're planning on a nonstop ride.
Yeah.
Or there's going to be lots of stopping. If you want a training ride, this isn't it. If you want to thrash yourself, this isn't it. Just depending on what you're doing that day, but trying to make it a little bit clear of what expectations are. This is going to be an XC ride. This is going to be a tech ride. This is going to be double black tech, whatever it may be. Well, those things are all really, really helpful.
Yeah. So it's like, it's two pieces, right? It's like when you get invited to a group ride and when you're setting a group ride. So we talked about like when we set a group ride, it's like, who are we inviting? When you get invited to a group ride, you often have to reset your own expectations. It's like, okay, who's riding in this group? Now I'm asking the questions. Maybe they're not giving me all the details. Now you're asking the questions. Hey, who's going to be on this ride? How strong are they? What can I expect? And then I have to set my expectations to that. They might say, this is going to be more of a intermediate ride. And so knowing that ahead of time, I can recalibrate how I go into that group ride. Because if I go in and I'm thinking it's going to be a fitness ride and it ends up being an intermediate ride, you could easily get down on yourself. So yeah, calibrating your expectations and asking the right questions also can help you out as a rider as well. Yeah.
And then Shelly mentioned, don't assume that a lady shredder is going to be the anchor. She recently had a ride where she met some people, some guys that she hadn't seen in a while, and they slotted her in the back, and she was grabbing cards. She was collecting cards and moving up.
Yeah.
And slaying.
Grabbing cards.
I
was like, what is he? Oh.
Yeah. She was collecting cards. She had all she had all those dudes cards by the end of the ride. I love it. Yeah, Shelly. And then what do you do at the end of the ride? Then you burn the cards. Anyone's card that you got, then you burn it in front of their face.
Are you missing this? Were you looking for this?
And you blow the ash onto them. Yes.
Someone lose a card?
There's so many good riders out here in Arizona, and a bunch of them are women. Like, I am not making that mistake after riding with Stephanie. And I've been climbing out before, and I've had women pass me like at Mach speed. Yeah. There are some really good lady riders out here. So yeah, don't make assumptions based on anything, really. You'd be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, we are the kings of making assumptions about.
We have a bad track record of making assumptions. Yes. I wonder what the assumption is when people see us. Like, I wonder what the assumption is.
We're old. These old guys. Yeah.
They're trying to slide us into the back. Yeah. I'd be curious what kind of assumptions were. I have to ask Jeff and Joe and all those guys, really, because that was relatively recently that they all met me.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Oh, I'll be curious. Yes. Yeah. Patch me in on that phone call.
I don't know if they remember, but yeah. Guys, I have a very important question. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about me. What did you think? What did you think when you first met me? What were your assumptions? And then what happened? Oh, I was worse. You thought I would be faster? Oh, man. We thought you would talk about yourself last. That's what we thought. Yeah. We thought, no.
Oh, boy.
All right. We have so much to talk about. You started at the beginning of the podcast about e-bikes and jumps and a great week of riding. Tell me about it.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, Danny, I will make my e-bike my gratitude, but let's get into the jumps because holy moly. For those that don't know, Ryan is the premier jumper at Phoenixville Bike Park. He is the man of the mustache. I love this guy. He's such a good jumper.
Would you say he has the number one card?
Oh,
he's slotted number one.
Oh, he's if he's not number one, he's like number 1 or 2. Like he is up there. He is very talented. But recently he broke his leg. He went up on the whale tail and had to ditch the bike and came down to the whale tail and he shattered his ankle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh no, that just happened?
Yeah.
They just opened Phoenixville Bike Park.
I mean, just happened. It's probably about 6 weeks at this point. So he's starting to get back into it. So he has a cast and all that stuff. And
Ryan, I'm so sorry to hear that. What a bummer.
Yeah, I know. Total bummer. But I had texted him. So we've been texting back and forth. And I texted him because he lives
By the way, sorry, Ryan, but due to the breaking of the ankle, you are slotted down to number 4.
I need your card.
Look, it's not my decision. I mean, come on, you ditched the bike. It's out of my hands. But you can get back there. I got confidence as soon as you start riding again, you get that number 1 slot again. Hand him a number 4 card next time you see him. I'm gonna need your number 1. This is awkward. I hate this. This is my least favorite part. But I'm gonna need your number 1. We got a couple guys that passed you. So.
Oh boy. Well, it had been raining a lot lately, and so he's one of the guys that I call to see if the pump track is rideable because he lives right there. I called him and he said,
"Pump track."
I'm sorry, the
bike
park. Yes, and he said, "When are you going up?" And I said, "I'm going up right now." He's like, "Let me know when you get up there, and I'm going to meet you over there." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So it'd be nice to see him. I haven't seen him in a while, and he proceeds to coach me for the next hour. And blows the doors off of everything that I thought I knew about jumping. I mean, you and I always talked about like wanting to sky like Ryan. Like he just has a completely different vibe in how he jumps. And I started picking his brain and I think the biggest, I don't want to say mistake because we weren't doing anything wrong, but if you want to jump like Ryan, and that is to get more air and coincidentally be able to work more stees into it. He said J-hop at the last moment. And it's blown my mind. So I think I'm hitting these jumps like a mountain biker. And by that, I mean, you're kind of figuring out where that compression point is in the lip of the jump. And so that's going to change per jump. But in general, it's going to be kind of in the middle of the jump. Just as a general, if you wanted like, well, where are we doing this? In the general, that's where you want to compress. And if Ryan said,
you mean by compress, you mean push your legs into it?
Yeah, like you are. It's the front of the bike hits that zone, and then you're compressing your legs, and then you're exploding out of that jump. And so eventually, you start overshooting the jump. That's what's happening. And I'm like, Ryan, how are you getting so high? I'd like to go higher in the air. And he said, hold your J-hop until your front wheel almost leaves the lip of the jump. I said, are you serious? It's so awkward. It totally messes with your brain when you first try it, Dan. Like it took me at least 6 or 7 runs to like kind of get a feeling for it. You're literally holding your compression until your front tire is just about to crest the edge of the lip. And then you do the J-hop move, and my God, this thing sends you up. And then the second part of that is you pull the bars toward your waist, and my goodness, you go straight up, Danny. It's the scariest, most thrilling thing.
Yeah,
I've done. It was awesome. Yeah, I'm not getting Ryan's height yet, but oh my gosh, it felt so cool.
And you were doing this on both your fat bike and the dirt jumper.
I did it first on the fat bike to see if this was something that I wanted to do, and then quickly went to the dirt jumper. Like I did maybe 3 runs on the fat bike, and then the rest of the time I did it on the dirt jumper because that bike, that's the bike that I want to learn how to do these jumps on. I mean, I love the fat bike, but the dirt jumper is where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's awesome. So same speed, just all you changed was the J-hop at the end.
No, this was the most nerve-wracking part. He made me go so slow. He's like, I want you to like basically just barely clear that entry drop and just go as slow as you can into this jump. And the first couple times, obviously cased because I wasn't comfortable with pulling that hard on the J. Oh my God, it works, Danny. I was going so slow and still clearing the jump. That's how high I was getting.
Well,
and I think I can go even slower. That's the scary part.
So if you went faster, you would just go higher. You're not going further.
Yeah, it's I can't explain it. I mean, you've seen the videos of Ryan. He just goes sky high in the air, and then
I've seen Ryan. I've seen other people at Phoenixville Bike Park. You know, people that are slotted in 2 and 3. You know, jump really high. Certainly, we've all seen tons of video.
Yeah,
I watch mountain bike YouTube all the time, and I've seen tons of video of mountain bikers and dirt jumpers just really skying. And that technique is, you see that the hips, the handlebars go to the hips, right?
Yeah.
And I've noticed that when I'm jumping at desert trails and I'm focusing on that rear wheel, we talked about this last week, when I'm focusing on that rear wheel leaving, my arc is much nicer when the rear wheel leaves the ramp at the same trajectory as the front wheel.
Yeah.
So I'm really just staying centered. And every once in a while, I would just push more into that if I thought I was going too slow, and I would go really high, and it scared me.
Yeah.
So there's like that combination of getting over the fear and also unlocking. So did you arc perfectly every time? Was there an oh no moment at all?
Never an oh no moment. It's like, and that's what I was afraid of. Like, cause you're going kind of straight up and you're clutching the bike to your hip almost, you know, and you're like, am I going to, no, your body just naturally knows as you get to the top, you're like, oh, okay. And then you push it forward. And what I love about this is you can control your trajectory. Wow, that's really hard to say. And I still don't think I said it right, but you can control that, you know, of how high you're going versus when you start to match the landing. All of that is in your control, you know? And man, I listen, I don't know if this kind of a style will work on bigger mountain bike jumps like Skyline, but
yeah,
I think you can kind of work a combo of that, you know, because when I see people on Skyline, I still see them do that, pull the bars to the chest. It's just
and some people go higher. People go higher than us, for sure. I mean, we absorb the jumps. I know that I'm still absorbing the jump. I see the video. And listener, we've given this as a tip of the week before. We talk about it all the time. If you can get video of yourself doing anything, whether it be a lift or tech or certainly jumps, and see what your speed looks like, but also that technique. And I know I'm still absorbing. I know I'm not fully pushing into that.
Yeah.
And that's mountain biking. That's a mountain bike jump. And that's someone who's not comfortable with going as high as possible. You know, you got to kind of work up to it. This sounds really cool.
Yeah. Ryan had mentioned, so Ryan did have some tips for you. And part of that was, you know, you're absorbing the jump, but also your your timing is slightly off. And I think if you try this technique of pulling the bars, and it's so uncomfortable, it's really uncomfortable, Dan. But like, if you practice that, I think that it's going to help, because now you have full control of when you arc. Right now, you don't have any control of your arc. Like you are at the mercy of this jump. Yeah, you know, and.
Right. I feel like if I don't hit the jump correctly, then if the arc's ruined, it's ruined.
It's ruined. Exactly. You're at the mercy of the jump. And, you know, and you and I have been using moves to kind of combat that, like to buy us time and, you know, and kind of almost manipulate the arc. But doing this really gives you the power of how you want that arc to look. And I think that's what I love about this, you know, and then once you perfect that, you can adjust that to how big the jump is. You know, you get to somewhere like a Skyline, you know, obviously you wouldn't want to pop straight up into the air. Maybe you would, but you probably don't. You know, you can lessen that, but that's the point. Like once you have that move, you can dial it into however you want it.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've been talking about how to dial these jumps forever. So thank you, Ryan. That is awesome insight. You know what? Can we just move him back up to number 1? I mean, do we need to get the committee together? I feel like we should just give him his number 1 slot card. Keep the card. He'll be back in no time. It'd be awkward to take it back from it would be awkward to take the number 1 card back from number 2. And, you know, like we'll just keep the card. It's
right.
Based on the tips. I guess we're the committee. I guess we're the ones who are going to decide where you get slotted in. Yeah. We got the podcast. We got the microphones. We are the deciders. I don't want to decide because then I'll put myself in the back all the time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, how good of my follow-up question is that you talked about doing a J-hop on the ramp. Explain real quickly what a J-hop is, because it's different than the traditional bunny hop, or maybe it's not.
Yeah.
I know that the BMX guys called it. What did the BMX guys call it? A Bronco.
Yeah.
Was the term that I think Nick used.
Yeah.
But what is a J-hop, and what does that feel like? What does that mean doing that on the jump? On the ramp.
So the J-hop is you are compressing in with your feet and kind of like pulling back with your bars, but it's less about your hands. It's more from your feet. You're just generating this up motion. And the way that you know you're doing a J-hop correctly, if you're on flats, you should be able to get up in the air with your bike, and it should look like your front tire comes up first and then your back tire matches. And so you have this like beautiful arc. And if you use that technique on a jump, that's gonna really elevate your jump game. And what Ryan was saying is, if you just change when you do that, you're going to be able to go higher up in the air. And that was the thing that blew my mind. And I got to tell you, it just feels really awkward to wait to the last minute to initiate this J-pop. I think we've got to try it, Danny.
I think we've gotten this advice before. J-hop on the jump. We've gotten this advice before. I just don't think we were in a position that we were comfortable enough to try it.
But it's the timing. Like we've all been J-hopping the jump.
Yes.
Like I've been J-hopping and
are
getting
we?
the.
I guess you are.
Yeah, I am.
If you're clearing mountain bike jumps, are you? Because I feel like I'm just absorbing. And so when they say that when you hear people pull for a jump, that you're putting more input in, is that a bigger J-hop?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're compressing and when they say pull, you're pulling harder as you're coming off that lip, so you're really just getting that boost. That's not what Ryan's saying. This is a completely different technique. And again, this might not be for mountain biking. This might be more for dirt jumps. But what I'm saying is you can take that knowledge and apply it to mountain biking and get what we want out of this, But I can't speak for you. I know that I definitely implore the J-hop, and that's part of the reason why I'm able to like kind of get the moves that I want to get into on the jumps. Like I definitely feel that like pop coming up out of it.
It's so much repetition, jumping, and like anything that we learn, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. It's so much repetition. I'm trying to show Jeff Winsor's interested in learning how to jump like off of actual lippy jumps.
Yes.
So we've been messing around at halls, and we've been doing a little bit of dirt therapy. He's such a good rider. I said to him, I have zero doubt that you're so centered, you're so balanced that like as soon as you're going to unlock this, like we get a long weekend at a bike park or something like that, he's going to unlock it. He's going to be awesome at it.
Yeah.
But he's just not there yet. And like trying to explain what to do is difficult, even though I learned what to do. And, it's just kind of like a muscle memory thing where you start to get it and more. And then someone like Ryan can be like, try this, the breaking the glass, the unsolicited advice I got last year when I was at Phoenixville Bike Park, right? Or Josh's Slanted Grounds, he's saying break the glass, and and the other guy was telling me keep my chin over the handlebar. Like you start to get these little clues as you're going that will refine it.
Yeah,
and you just sounds like you got like a really big and helpful clue as far as one of the things we were talking about: getting more air, getting more control, and getting more of a comfortable arc.
Yeah.
Really cool.
For sure. Yep. I think part of that, by the way, that J-hop technique is pulling that bike up to your waist. That's part of it. Like
the handlebars.
Yeah. The handlebars to your waist. Like that's part of it. Like that's in that rowing motion, that's true. Yeah. As you push through the pedals and that front comes up and then you're pulling that front up towards you and then pushing it forward. That's what brings that bike in. So you'll have to analyze your own video and see for yourself. Are you actually doing the J-hop? When I look at you jumping and when Ryan was looking at you jumping, he wasn't seeing any kind of a J-hop. Like you are at the mercy of the jump. And that's, and I was doing the same thing. Like you can't see my J-hop very clearly. I feel like I'm doing it, but this, and I'll have the video in here, obviously. So if you're listening to this on the podcast player and you want to see the video, you'll see what Ryan is talking about and how I'm trying to do that. I'm not at Ryan's level, obviously. This is just me working on it. I just took the tiny jump, the first one, and just worked on it over and over and over. And yeah, I'm getting it.
Solicited. You got solicited advice. You solicited advice.
Yes, I did. Yes. It was beautiful. Yes.
I'm wondering, as we talk about the J-hop, and I know we're getting up against it time-wise, but as we talk about the J-hop and we talk about my technique for getting up onto these lifts, onto these ledges, I think I'm J-hopping onto them. And I think when I talk about the video of you getting over these giant logs, it was a J-hop.
That J-hop. I think we just got the title of this video.
Turn your cards in. Unless you could J-hop. Oh, there's got to be a card.
Yeah, the J-hop card.
Oh, the J-hop. Oh, we can get skills cards. You can get a card based on the skill. Boy.
Oh my God, we're starting to sound like the Boy Scouts. What's going on here?
Yeah. That sounds like something that you would.
It's like a patch that you get. The J-hop patch.
We all get a sash. You got your J-hop. You got your J-hop patch. We could have patches, right? Laugh patches. We could have drinking game patches. Yeah. We could have all sorts of fun patches. Yeah. We're unlimited. It's possible.
Yes,
sir. All the listeners are like, yeah, it's possible, but I don't know if it's a good idea. That's awesome stuff. Listeners, let us know. I know not everyone is on the same. Obviously, we're all on our own journeys. This podcast is about you and I talking about what we're doing. And we hope that people can relate, and at least you're enjoying it if you can't relate. But if you're learning how to jump, or you know how to jump, and you have a comment for us or a question for Ryan or for us or for anybody, let us know about your journey. Let us know and what you're overcoming, log overs, lifts, all those things, J-hops. Where are you in your journey? And as long as we're having fun with it, progression is fun. Getting better at things is fun. There's a point when we just wanted to clear the jumps. I know that I was at Skyline saying, I don't care how high I go. I don't care if there's a bar turn.
Yeah.
I just want to clear this jump.
Yeah.
I just want to clear it.
Yep.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I can do that now. It's the equivalent of saying I'm going to take a hardtail down a really hard trail.
Yeah.
That I enjoy on a full suspension. Okay, now what's next? And that's a beautiful thing about mountain biking. It's one of the things that I love about mountain biking is there's always that next challenge. There's always that next thing. This can get better. This can get more fun. I can just keep adding on top of this. There is absolutely no limit to this sport. Trails can get harder and harder, more and more fun. Jumps can get bigger. And as you get more comfortable on it, then that feels great. Looking back and being like, I got this. I can do this. I can do that trail. That trail's no big deal anymore. Those jumps are no big deal anymore. It's awesome. Yeah. Mountain biking is the best.
Yeah, man. I love it, brother. Well,
all right,
brother, let's get into gratitudes, man. You got a gratitude?
I have many gratitudes. It's always hard picking one because it's a whole week, and I just love mountain biking, and I love the things that we talk about. I love our perspective. I love the path that we're on. I love the inspirational stories that we get from our commenters and on our email. It's so cool, the synchronicities between mountain biking and life and going with the flow. And I could give Jeff Winsor as a friend a mountain bike gratitude of the week. Really, like any week, because we're riding together so much and we're having so much fun, and he's opened his house to me really just to go to the bathroom before the ride because he lives on the mountain. But I appreciate that. Don't get too comfortable in there. We ride. So Jeff's a great dude, but he went above and beyond. We had a Sunday that we could ride, and he said, "Hey, I have these stand-up paddle boards, and how about I set up where we're gonna bike at Halls, and then afterwards we're gonna go and do this stand-up paddle boarding down the Salt River in Arizona." And it was such a cool experience. And he really went out of his way. He did all the work. You know what I mean? So like, I just appreciate it so much just to expose me to that and say, is this something you want to do again? Or is this something you want to do with your wife or your kids? And it was really cool. It was really fun. He really went out of his way, and he was just so happy to do it. He was so happy to share that experience. Of course, like everything, like Jeff's like naturally really good at it and has great balance, and he's standing up and he's like completely dry and no problem. Meanwhile, I have a waterproof case for my phone, and I'm wearing swim trunks. He's wearing regular shorts. Like I'm not confident, and my lanky ass on this stand-up paddleboard. You know what I mean? Like I'm catching wind and drifts, and but I did pretty well. Oh, and we saw wild horses on this river. I mean, you're on a river in the desert, and it's nice and cool. It's a really, really cool scene. I had a really good time. I went through a bunch of rapids successfully. I felt really good about myself. And then we're like right towards the end, and I don't know what happened. Jeff's like, I heard a splash, and I turn around, and Dan's off the board. I don't know what happened. There was nothing that was happening, and I totally just went into the drink. But it was no big deal. Actually, it was kind of a big deal because I wore my mountain bike glasses.
Oh, no.
My mountain bike sunglasses. And I didn't realize until I was driving home, I was like, I don't have my sunglasses. They totally went into the water. So I ordered a new pair, but it was worth it. And now I know, bring cheap sunglasses.
Yes.
Or don't wear sunglasses. But yeah. But it was really fun. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you for setting that up. That was really cool. And I'm definitely going to take my kids and my wife when she's feeling better. Like it's a cool experience. Phoenix is awesome. Jeff's awesome. Gratitude.
Yo, I am super jelly. That sounds like an awesome time. Yeah, my gratitude is actually, I had mentioned at the beginning of the pod, e-bike revelations, or did I say progression? But I think I said revelations. Yes. But regardless, I got a great opportunity to ride the new Levo 4. So my buddy Will at Keswick called me up and he said, listen, we got the new Levo 4s in, do you want to go ride this thing? And I was like, yes, please.
That's the Specialized. The Levo Turbo 4 is Specialized, brand new e-mountain bike, full powered e-mountain bike.
Oh, and is it full power? Holy moly, Danny. You and I got a chance to ride I think it was the first gen Levos or second gen. I can't remember, but.
No, that was the Levo 3 I think we rode.
Was it? Oh, man. Well,
was it the 2?
I feel like whatever it was, this thing was way more powerful. It's way more adjustable. And holy crap, did we have a good time, man. We went up to Mount Penn. Dude, we hit all the tech. We did boom sauce. We did the Skyline. Holy cow. It just makes me realize like e-bikes are the way. Like I really feel like everyone should have an e-bike. We must have sessioned Skyline like, I don't know, like 10 or 12 times. Like I wasn't tired. I still, and that's the thing. Like you can't session downhills on an analog bike because you're exhausted. You could, but you'll end up making mistakes with the e-bike. It was nothing, bro. It was unbelievable. But the Levo 4, holy moly, man. So by the way, a quick overview. It's 10% more battery life. So you get like 10 to 12 more miles. It's 10% stronger motor. And you can also customize the different modes without a phone. So you can do it all from the screen on the which, oh my gosh, was like fantastic. If I don't like whip out my phone and you can just do everything there, and they have all these other like modes in there now. So this bike is just like the ultimate riding machine. I don't know all the spec details, awesome. I can't geek out on all the specs, but the power was noticeable to me. Like I instantly felt like, holy crap, man, it was.
What mode were you? What modes were you riding it in?
Dude, I had to go eco for the tech. But then as I was talking to Will, he's like, you can actually stay in trail and just dial back how that motor delivers the power. And,
so cool.
Yeah, there's only so much you could do in like one day. So I didn't get to play around with like different modes. I just like backed it off the eco, but I thought that was really cool. Like you can keep it in trail and just say, listen, I want you to hold off on delivering full power, delay the power input, or I want it to come on quicker. Like you could do all of that. And technology, bro, technology.
It's, oh man, it's amazing. What a great time to be alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So
what did you think of
go ahead.
What did you think of the weight? I know that's a heavy bike. It's full powered. What did you think of the weight we've jumped them, but what did you think about the weight riding the downhill tech or any of the tech for that matter, or the uphill tech?
Like, it's almost like I gave you a script and you're like asking all the right questions. So the bike is the same weight, but you get 3.
I'm slotted in.
Oh,
sorry. I'm slotted in as number 1 on Podcaster, Mountain Bike Podcasters. I'm slotted in number 1. So
number 1 host.
Kind of good at this. I've got the number 1 card. I mean, what'd you expect me to ask the wrong question?
Hello. So the battery, you get 3 options. I mean, you have to buy them, but like it comes with the full size battery, but then they have like a half size battery And they have a, what do they call it? Like an external battery that you can put into the cup holder, of
the
your cup holder.
the range extender.
The range extender. Here's the best part. You can run the bike on just the range extender if you want, making this bike ridiculously light. So you have 3 battery options, or you can just do just the range extender. Like the what is this? Like the amount of choices that you have, just mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're really dialing this in. You know, I remember when iPhones and smartphones first came out and where we are now.
Right.
And when e-bikes first came out, and it wasn't all that long ago, and then they've only been, I think, like really kind of like mainstream popular. They're not even,
right.
You know, like completely accepted. There's still trail systems that aren't allowing them, which is another conversation I thought as far as last week's podcast. About trail closures. Yeah. So I'm curious to see what our comments are on that podcast, because that's something else that I thought we could talk about. That's really an interesting concept. But yeah, from where e-bikes started to where they are now, and what, you know, the rider input, the customer input that they're getting as far as like, hey, I want a full powered e-bike, but I also want the option for it to be lighter, and I want to be able to change how the power is delivered. I mean, that sounds awesome. I've read great things about that Levo
so
4.
Cool.
I am super curious. I totally want an e-bike also. I mean, just Jeff and I were at Halls, and it was just like, oh my gosh, if we could just ride up and down without having to get tired, and as it gets really hot here, to be able to just take it out and just be able to go and have some fun without like blowing yourself up in an hour. Oh man. Yeah, it's happening.
Yo, unbelievable. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so
awesome stuff.
My gratitude is to Will and Keswick Cycles in Paoli. Thank you so much for that opportunity. Yes. I will have a video coming out hopefully this week, so maybe you'll see it by the time this is out.
Keswick Cycles, great shop. Keswick Cycles, great shop in Paoli. And they're specialized dealer, but absolute riders, absolutely, like, you know, great group of people, good mechanics. You can't go wrong. Yeah, Keswick Cycles. If you are in the area, or they're even worth a little driving out of your way a little bit. It's just a great shop. They're really, really great people in there.
Yeah. We had several options for mountain bike tips, and I actually was going to do my mountain bike tip for the Ryan advice that he gave me about, you know, waiting to the very last second if you want to get sky up in the air. But
okay,
right before,
just go ahead, everyone, just rewind. Mountain bike tip of the week. Just go ahead and rewind about 15 minutes and listen to that bit again. If you're still listening, you're definitely one of us. I like to slot it at number 1 to give the same tip twice. Come on.
Yeah. Well, right before.
All right. Bonus tip.
Yeah, bonus tip. But right before we were about to record this podcast, my dad actually came back from a bike ride, had another flat, and he went to the bike shop, and the bike shop had an awesome solution, which I'd like to share with everybody. I think I've heard about this solution before, but he kept getting flats in the same spot. He's running a tubed bike, so he has an inner tube. And if anybody's running tubes, whether this is a mountain bike, this tip will actually help. If you're running tubes, you keep getting flats in the same spot or in the same area, take your old tube and you cut it, you slice it. So it's just a strip, and then you wrap that. You use that as rim tape, basically. So you have you cut the hole where the Schrader is, obviously, you know, or the Presto, whatever the valve is. You cut a little hole for that, and then you wrap the whole tire with this old inner tube. I'm doing a terrible job explaining this, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Instead of rim tape, you're using that inner tube as an extra layer of protection, and then you're putting your tube on top of that older inner tube. We'll see if it works, but I thought it was a good.
Yeah, I appreciate the tip. And I love you. But as far as your tip, I don't know how much this one applies to our mountain bike listeners. Yeah. You know what, everyone that listened to the tip, why don't you just go back and listen to the jump tip again? The jump tip was excellent. Ryan, thank you. Ryan gets full credit. That's why he's number 1. Yeah.
All right.
I would move you down to number 2 podcaster, but I already claimed the number 1 card.
Hey,
so
I am number 2. Yeah, by default. No, there are plenty of our listeners that actually ride other bikes other than mountain bikers. I think this could be relatable on many levels.
Let us know, listeners. We need comments.
Yes.
How many people? Just let us know. Sage's tip.
How many slots did I drop?
Sage's tip. I use it. Yeah.
How many slots?
So Sage, we're going to drop all the way down to 44. I apologize.
Ooh, ouch. Wow. Whew. Okay, I'll take it.
Too much?
44 slots?
Too much.
My God.
Yeah, that's really harsh. One bad tip, it may not even be bad. 40. Actually, it's 43 slots because you were number 2 before. It's way too much. It's way too much. You're right. I'm revising it to
grace.
7. I apologize. Okay. Listeners, let us know where are we slotting in. Everyone's like, Dan, you're 44.
Oh boy,
give Sage a break.
God,
all right. Well, if you're still listening, you're obviously one of us. You love mountain biking. Yes. You're putting up with our shenanigans. We appreciate you. Please, you love talking bikes and you love riding bikes. Please rate and subscribe on your podcast player. Please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Please watch to the end. Please send us comments. rideandlaugh1@gmail.com. If you have a long form message that you want to send us or any pictures of your bikes, anything cool that's happening, we are interested. We appreciate you. Everybody have a great week and a great week of riding. Ride and laugh.
I'll see you, everybody.